Welcome back to my animal education series. Today I'm at the Henson-Robinson Zoo with Emily. Hello.
Hi. Hi, Cole. How are you?
Good. And who do we have here?
Well, this is Jake the snake. He is a Mexican burrowing python.
So this is a species of snake that I'm not very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that this very unique head shape.
He is. Now, first of all, just let's backtrack a little bit to the name. They're called Mexican burrowing pythons, but you know, when you think of pythons, you probably think of snakes from Africa or Asia or something like that. So another word or another name for these guys is New World pythons. But there's a lot of indecision, you know, taxonomists. They can never decide how to classify things and have disagreements. And some people call them New World sunbeam snakes too, because they are debating whether they're pythons or sunbeam snakes. And part of that is because of their interesting shape, their head shape.
Sure.
And yeah, that's always the first thing. When I met Jake the snake here at Henson-Robinson Zoo, the first thing I noticed was that really cool head.
It's really flat and really pointed.
I really think it looks kind of like a shovel, which goes well with the name burrowing python. Of course, no snake can really dig or burrow, but having a head like this is a great adaptation to really try to help get under things. So although they're not going to be digging, they do like to live in really dry, rocky areas. They're not too picky, you know, it helps to be adaptable, and these guys can be found in forests from tropical to even arid forests. But anything that has some loose soil or a lot of leaf litter. So these guys are going to feel most comfortable when they have something to hide under. So here at the zoo, we, of course, with all the snakes, you got to provide something for them to hide in. They really like that. But him especially, and sometimes he has a little terracotta hide box that he loves. It's like his favorite spot. And sometimes he gets in there and we lift it up and he's so in there that he's still on the inside of that when we lift it out, and we have to try to convince him to come on out to
squeeze himself.
Yeah, he loves it. The smaller, the tighter, the better for him, because with a lot of animals, you know, for us, I'm not especially fond of small spaces, but for a lot of animals, if they can just fit their body into it, that means safety, because no other animals can come in there.
They feel secure there.
Get to them, yeah. So I have to kind of think of the opposite of us. But yeah, he feels most comfortable when he's hidden under something. And if you look at the coloration.
Yeah, the coloration looks super unique. I'm noticing how splotches here, and even on the underside, like back here, it's white underneath, but up here it's more like a yellow.
It's really unusual, and we have a lot of volunteers that work with our snakes, introducing them to the public and our visitors that come out here. And at first, they want to get the flashy snakes, the one with the unique pattern and brilliant colors, and I encourage them to use Jake just because if you take that closer look to get to know him a little bit better, you find out he's really, really interesting and gorgeous. Now those, just like I said, since he likes to remain hidden, that color on the dorsal side, the top, is really brown to help him blend in, to camouflage with his surroundings. But yeah, if you look at the scutes on the ventral side, yeah, you'll notice that it's white, kind of yellow, a little bit lighter. That's the side that you know, it's not going to show off so much. But he's very well camouflaged, except for, you probably noticed something else all over.
It's like kind of some splotches here, which I'm taking a close look, they don't look like scales.
It's
or they look kind of a little bit broken off. It's right here, it's like
weird.
Little bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, and that's one question that I had when I first saw him. I'm always full of questions too. And the first thing I saw was, what are all these weird white flecks? Now I've seen, and sometimes people keep snakes that maybe shouldn't have captive snakes and do things like using hot rocks and heat lamps inside the tank and things like that, and get scars and things like that. So that was, I was like, is this some sort of scarring? But the more research I did, I found that these spots are completely normal for the snake. They're not scars, they're not missing scales, they're white patches. When these guys first hatch, since they're pythons, you know, the moms will, they only lay a few eggs, like maybe 2 to 5 eggs which is different.
It's really
And
low, typically,
that
for a
is
snake.
a low number, but their eggs are really big. But the moms will lay that in like a typical python. They'll wrap around them and protect them and for a little while. And when they first hatch, they're mostly brown. And then as they age, they molt, they grow, they molt, and they start to develop these white patches here and there. And the older they get, the more flecks they get.
It's interesting.
Yeah, right?
You don't see that a whole lot.
You don't. And so that leads to the question, why do they have these?
Maybe it could be for camouflage if they're going through the leaves. It could feel like some sun's going through like the leaf up above. Who knows?
Exactly. And scientists kind of say that. Who knows? But they're just like you. They theorize that maybe this helps to break up the pattern. And just like that, it can look like maybe dappling of sunlight in those leaves. So maybe that helps with the camouflage. Then my further question is, why don't they have it when they first hatch?
Oh, no.
I would
Maybe
think,
they're too little?
Yeah,
Maybe
I would think when they're
bigger
really little,
predators.
camouflage might be even more important. So that's a good question. Maybe someday you can go out there and research.
Maybe we'll figure that out.
Yeah, you know what? You'd have to travel to nice, warm, sunny Mexico and all the way down to Costa Rica to study those. I don't know if you could handle
I'd be totally
leaving
down.
this winter weather and going down there to study these guys. But
Oh, darn.
hey,
Leaving the cold to go.
right,
So
leaving
upset.
Illinois. But you know what? That I'd love to know. So someday if you figure that out, you tell me.
Will do.
Now, I don't know if you noticed, because we've got a lot of artificial light here in our lobby, but when we take them out in the sunlight, you'll notice, people think,
I see a
it's
little
gonna
bit, like right
brown.
here.
But
The-
when the light just hits them, can you see the iridescence? I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick that up just
I don't know
right.
if the camera's gonna get, but I definitely see it really good right here. At
Yeah,
the angle.
they are extremely beautiful in the sunlight, just because they have high amounts of iridescence. When the sunlight hits those scales, it makes almost a rainbow effect.
It's super cool to see. 'Cause
it
you wouldn't
is
expect that from a snake.
Gorgeous, and that happens to some effect in snakes when their scales are really shiny like that. Of course, a lot of people then think, oh, it's wet and slimy. That's where that came from, but that shininess just shows it's a nice, healthy snake. And with him, this iridescence shows that he's a really healthy snake here.
So, how big do these snakes usually get?
Well, I'd have to look up how old this guy is. I'd have to look at our records, but they don't get really much bigger than this.
Especially if they're like, gotta be burrowing or hiding, you don't need a super big snake. for
Yeah,
that.
if you're going to hide under a pile of leaves, you don't want to be huge. But this is just about as big as they're ever going to get. So they're not an incredibly large snake, which makes it kind of fun to handle for us.
Makes a good education.
Exactly. And if you do go down to Costa Rica, Central America, to study these guys, even when these guys are found in the wild, they're known to be really mellow snakes, easygoing, docile. They're not known to strike. And again, that makes it a great education snake. So if they've always been around people, they're going to be especially docile and mellow.
So what kind of animals will this snake eat?
Well, they're primarily going to be rodent eaters like most snakes, but they're really opportunistic. They'll go for just about anything that they can find, even eggs. But here at the zoo, of course, he gets mice.
And what kind of larger animals will try to eat this snake?
That's a good question. Any predator that's large enough in that area is going to be on the lookout for, because they're also pretty opportunistic. So any kind of predators might be looking for the leaf litter. So that makes this camouflage especially important, and maybe even those flecks that you see on his body.
Oh, like some birds of prey. 'Cause a lot of birds of prey go after some snakes. And from up above, it could help with the camouflage
That could
to break it
that could really help.
up. So that's a possible theory.
Yeah. Put that in your notes for later study.
Will do.
Exactly.
So what is your favorite thing about this species of snake?
Oh man, so many things. I mean,
Tough
I
question.
love all snakes. I think they're fascinating. I don't ever even have a favorite animal. This guy's pretty shy, and as you can see, as he explores, he kind of, if he touches my arm, he's like, "Ooh, I ran into something," and he jumps. He's just kind of, I like his personality. He's just kind of shy, unassuming, and it's his personality. A lot of people kind of laugh when I say, I love this snake's personality, but all the snakes
Yes.
have a completely different personality, and this species and this individual, I think, is a pretty cool guy.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about this really cool species of python.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm still looking at that head because it's so super unique looking.
It is really cool.
And anyways, thank you guys for watching this week's episode. Don't forget to leave a big thumbs up down below, subscribe to my channel, and also check out my Instagram @Coloration. As always, I'll see you next week.